Alright, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So from last night's recap post, we had overnight support at 1700 to 1702, and that was adjusted to 1699 to 1701 as pre-market support for today. And the first pullback into that zone attracted responsive buyers, and now we're seeing some upside rotations off that zone. Now, on this upside rotation, we want to see ES get above 1704 to 1706 to confirm the upside. And if we can get above 1704 to 06, then a test of 1710 to 1711 would be pretty high odds. And at that zone, similar to the idea that we had yesterday around the 91 to 93 resistance, it's a very similar idea at 1710 to 1711. It's essentially a breakdown area. It's a low volume node on the composite profile, which means that the way that price should behave as we approach that zone is either a quick rejection or a slice through it for a move up to 1713.5 to 15.5. So keep that in mind, because not every zone is traded the same way, and it's good to know these nuances, and it can help you in execution. Because if you go right through 1711 and you start pushing higher, perhaps that's a trade you don't want to hold, or just get out quickly and then re-enter at the next zone. So just keep that stuff in mind. Now at this point, we've moved up from 1640 to almost 1710 in the overnight session. So we've seen about a 70-point move here in a very short period of time. NQ and TF broke out to new highs yesterday and are maintaining those levels so far today. So regardless, the buyers are clearly in control here, and at the very minimum, even if we get some short-term failure up here and pull back into the support zones below, they're going to provide some high odds long setups and tradable reactions. So if we do get a pullback now to 1699 to 1701, that's a potential long. It calls for a little bit of caution because it's already been tested, and now it would be the second time that ES would be moving down there. So it could pull back a little bit more, and that's something to keep in mind as well. But the 95 to 97 area, initial support, is a potential long setup on the day time frame. And if this upside continuation scenario is going to play out, then as I mentioned in yesterday's recap, we should not really get a steep pullback, right? The pullback should be quite shallow, and then we should just continue higher. And that's why 99 to 01, 95 to 97 are good spots to look for long setups, because if that scenario is going to play out where we're heading for the 1710 to 11 and eventually up to the 17 quarter to 19 quarter zone, then these areas, support areas down here, have potential to shut off the selling. Now obviously, if we're just going to fail short term and head lower, then those zones are not going to work. But the default scenario for the day is that we're going to pull back and then continue pushing higher and test the resistance zones above. And with that scenario, those zones do have potential to stop the selling, and that's why we can consider long setups at those zones. But because of how bullish the underlying context is and how directional this market has been, we can expect rotational moves at the support zones on the way down. So even if it fails and heads lower, we can still expect a tradable reaction and some edge at the support zones, at least enough to provide that initial scale out, reduction in risk, and then allow you to manage the trade. So right now, ES is selling off. It seems like it's some sort of news event. I don't have the news in front of me right now, but it seems like this is news driven over here. But like I said, the 95 to 97 is still a spot where we can get rotation, and it's something that we will consider. And in the event that we do get a deeper pullback, because of this underlying context being as bullish as it is, we can still expect rotation. So, in the event that we do pull back lower, the 90.75 to 92.75, 85 to 87 is a great spot for a long first test. Essentially an automatic fade zone, 85 to 87 down there. A very good support spot. 80.5 to 82. All of those support zones are good spots to look for reactions and look for at least some short-term bounces. But 95 to 97 is a zone that we really should hold if we're going to get that upside continuation move. And then on the upside, we can consider short setups, but keep in mind that, as I mentioned in yesterday's recap, we could be heading up to the 14 to 18 area, which was a prior area of acceptance before we broke down. So, we may not see any decent short setups until, 13.5 to 15.5 or 17 quarter to 19 quarter. And of course, the higher you move up, the better risk reward you're going to have on the short side, because now ES has some room to pull back and give you some profit. So, we'll be cautious at the earlier resistance zones, and then as we head higher, we'll look for some short setups, and we'll consider short setups. So that's basically the idea on the day. Let's see how this plays out. Looks like we're getting some news-based movement over here. But, if this market truly is strong, which so far it looks to be, then the 95 to 97 is still a area to consider long. And we've already seen that we're getting rotation ahead of it. So let's see how the open plays out. Let's see how much of a pullback we can get. Try to identify a conservative location for a long setup, and then take it from there.